Rain Shroud is abruptly fired from his party by its leader, Arios, who dismisses him as useless. Hurt and humiliated, Rain leaves the party, returning all his gear. As he wanders the city, Rain meets some children who ask him to perform his usual beast-taming trick. He temporarily contracts with an eagle, sending it to greet the kids, who are delighted. They express admiration for Rain's kindness and say they'd rather be beast-tamers like him than heroes. Inspired, Rain decides to become an adventurer. At the Adventurers Guild, he meets the receptionist, Natalie, who explains the guild system. Hearing his class is Beast Tamer, she reacts cautiously, but Rain reassures her and signs up. For his registration test, he must kill 10 goblins. He tracks and defeats them with ease, but as he's finishing, he hears a scream. He rushes over to find a girl trapped by a killer tiger. Rain's attempt to attack fails, but the girl, a rare cat tribe member named Kanade, defeats the tiger with a single blow. Exhausted, she accepts food from Rain and listens to his story. Hearing about his unjust dismissal, Kanade angrily defends him, making Rain feel appreciated. Moved by their bond, Kanade asks Rain to tame her. He hesitantly agrees, and their contract succeeds. While collecting herbs for his guild test, Rain surprises Kanade by contracting with multiple animals at once, a rare skill among beast tamers. Kanade realizes Rain's abilities are far beyond normal, leaving her in awe. Rain completes his trial at the Adventurers Guild, earning 50 copper coins and the rank of F-ranked adventurer. Though the payout is modest, Natalie, the guild receptionist, assures him that higher ranks will bring greater rewards. Rain realizes he'll need more money for lodging, so he's motivated to keep improving. Later, Rain meets Kanade in the cafeteria, proudly sharing his new status and inviting her to accept a quest with him. A man approaches Kanade, interested in her rare cat, Spirit Heritage, but she claims loyalty to Rain as her tamer. Doubting Rain's strength, the man challenges him to arm wrestling, which Rain surprisingly wins. Natalie arrives, apologizing for the man's behavior and revealing he was on the verge of suspension. She's curious about how Rain managed to tame Kanade, surprising both Rain and Kanade as she hurriedly departs. Kanade explains that Rain's strength increased from their bond, leaving him amazed. Excited for a new job, Kanade is disappointed when it's another herb-gathering quest. As they work, they hear a scream and find an old man cornered by the infamous Ebon Fangs bandits. Rain insists on taking them on alone, with Kanade saving the old man. They fight off the bandits, impressing the man, who shares that other adventurers abandoned him. Despite the risks, Rain decides to confront the rest of the Ebon Fangs. Using a temporary contract with an insect, an RB, to paralyze the bandits, Rain instructs Kanade to fetch reinforcements. Kanade returns with other adventurers who help to tame the bandits. However, a trio of Berserk King lizards break free and attack. Together, Rain and Kanade defeat the beasts, gathering the magical stones from their remains. The adventurers praise their victory, and Rain, grateful for Kanade's support, feels proud of his achievements despite being dismissed as useless by his former party. After turning in their bounty on the Ebony Fangs, Rain and Kanade receive a reward and a promotion from F-rank to E-rank at the Adventurers Guild. They buy new equipment, enjoy a fancy dinner, and return to an inn, where they discover they'll be sharing a room for the night. Despite his initial surprise, Rain agrees, and as he sleeps, Kanade reflects on how lucky she is to have met him. A week later, Rain is enjoying the easygoing adventuring life with Kanade. Natalie informs them of a hooligan at Stride Bridge, offering a 5 gold reward. Intrigued, Rain accepts the quest, and they head to the bridge. A red dragon lands nearby, transforming into a humanoid woman named Tanya, a dragonoid on a training pilgrimage. She challenges them to a match, and they accept. During the fight, Tanya overwhelms them with her strength and fire breath, but Kanade fights back with determination. As the battle intensifies, Rain realizes he needs to use his skills as a beast tamer and asks Kanade to distract Tanya for a few minutes. He forms a temporary contract with birds called Pedo whose poisonous feathers immobilize Tanya, forcing her to surrender. Impressed, she agrees to come with them. Back at the guild, Rain quickly exits to avoid Tanya's attention-grabbing behavior. Outside, he scolds her and offers her the choice to leave. Instead, Tanya requests Rain to tame her, and he reluctantly agrees, forming a contract. Meanwhile, Rain's old party is frustrated with their own struggles and decides to try recruiting him back just to use him as a temporary asset. That night, Kanade and Tanya bicker over who gets the bed with the best view of Rain as he sleeps, marking the start of their amusing rivalry. Rain and his team take on a slime subjugation quest, which unsettles Kanade due to the slime's sticky nature when defeated. Tanya, eager to impress, boasts that she'll handle them, which earns Kanade's praise. Watching the two bond, Rain feels glad they're getting along well. However, unable to locate any slimes initially, he uses his beast tamer skill Assimilate to merge with a bird's soul, letting him scout from above. Astonished by the skill, Kanade and Tanya watch over his body as Rain flies off. Rain eventually locates the slimes, and with Tanya's encouragement, he casts Fireball, defeating them in a single shot. Tanya explains that Rain's powers have increased due to their contract. As more slimes appear, Tanya guides Rain in refining his magic control, which he quickly masters. Later, they report their success to a little girl outside the guild and spend the day together, capping it off with a meal at a local restaurant. During dinner, Rain shares his past, how his village was lost to a monster attack, how adventurers rescued him, and how he joined Ario's party with hopes of helping others, only to be deemed useless and eventually discarded. Hearing this angers Kanade and Tanya, but Rain reassures them he's moved on. The next day, Rain's team takes on an orc subjugation quest. During a skirmish, Rain is stabbed while protecting Tanya, but he heals himself with magic and suggests they collect the orc's magical ores. Later, Kanade mentions that Tanya wanted time alone. Rain finds Tanya reflecting on a bridge, worried she made a mistake. A brief conversation with the little girl from before lifts her spirits. When Rain arrives, she apologizes, and he assures her he's simply relieved she's okay. That night, Tanya starts to acknowledge her growing feelings for Rain, though she dismisses it as fondness. The following day, after a successful quest, Tanya suggests they buy new equipment. Before they get far, Arios and his party appear, sarcastically greeting Rain and interrupting their plans. While reflecting on his journey with Tanya and Kanade, Rain encounters Arios and his party. Arios greets him with sarcasm, prompting Rain to suggest they go another way, but Arios' group quickly hurls insults. Kanade and Tanya defend Rain, with Tanya questioning Arios' credibility as a hero. Realizing Tanya is a dragonode and Kanade a cat spirit, both ultimate species, Arios is taken aback to learn they are bound to Rain. Arios offers Rain a chance to rejoin his group, calling him useless, yet welcome. His party members echo this, suggesting Rain should feel grateful. Reluctantly, Rain agrees, stirred by memories of his village and the party's mention of a crucial relic, the Shield of Truth, located in the forest. As they turn to leave, Kanade and Tanya demand the party apologize to Rain by groveling. Shocked, Arios seizes Rain by the collar, calling Tanya and Kanade his pets, angering Rain. Arios escalates the situation, challenging Rain to a duel to prove who is stronger. Rain, Kanade, and Tanya accept, leading to 3 separate fights. Kanade faces Agath, who arrogantly anticipates an easy win, only to be surprised by her strength as she overwhelms him with a flurry of punches and kicks. Agath eventually tries his special move, Hellfire and Brimstone Slash, but Kanade easily deflects it, revealing she's been using less than half her strength. With a single powerful kick, she wins, scolding Agath for his disrespect towards Rain. Meanwhile, Tanya takes on Leanne and Mina. Underestimating them, she taunts their weakness, which enrages the pair. They retaliate with Gravity Burst and Holy Flare, but Tanya dispels the attacks with ease. Their attempts with Judgment Arrow and Red Crimson are similarly thwarted by her skill, Material Canceller. After dispelling multiple attacks, Tanya fakes an epic spell called Ultimate End which frightens Leanne and Mina into passing out. Rain, meanwhile, faces Arios, who charges with quick swordplay. Rain suffers only minor scratches, unimpressed with Arios' strength. Channeling his contracts with Kanade and Tanya, Rain gains an edge, countering Arios' moves and finishing him off with a powerful punch. With the help of an RB, Rain triumphs, leaving Arios defeated. Moments later, Tanya and Kanade reunite with Rain, celebrating their victory with an enthusiastic embrace. In the dark and eerie Lost Woods, Rain and his party search for the Shield of Truth. A flashback shows Arios' group apologizing to Rain after their defeat, with Tanya urging them to sound more sincere. Rain accepts the apology, and Arios explains that the Shield of Truth is held by a monster in the Lost Woods. Despite Kanade and Tanya's disapproval of Arios' condescending tone, Rain agrees to help. In the present, Rain reassures his companions of the shield's importance. To aid in their search, he temporarily contracts with a bird to scout from above, leaving Kanade and Tanya to watch over his body. He quickly spots a path toward their goal, but despite following it, they lose their way. Tanya casts Material Search and discovers a tree radiating illusionary magic. As Kanade prepares to knock down the tree, a voice warns them to leave, and a fairy emerges. Rain tries to explain their intentions, but the fairy warns them to leave or face her wrath. Taking her warning seriously, Rain leads his group away to discuss their next steps. Kanade recalls that a monster is guarding the area, and Tanya suggests they simply destroy the tree. However, Rain decides to negotiate alone with the fairy. Approaching her again, Rain tries to reason with her, but she responds by attacking him with illusion arrows. Although hurt, Rain stands his ground, confusing the fairy, who has never known humans to act this way. Rain insists that not all humans are the same, but she fires again, prompting Kanade and Tanya to intervene. The two try to negotiate but end up bickering, amusing the fairy. She drops her hostility, introduces herself as Sora, and listens to their request. From Sora, they learn that the barrier conceals the fairy village, where the Shield of Truth is guarded. Upon learning that the shield is needed to fight the Demon King, Sora fetches it for Rain, honoring an ancient pact between her people and the original hero. When Rain offers help in return, Sora refuses but hesitates when Rain senses something is troubling her. After gentle coaxing, Sora opens up about her twin sister, Runa, who helped maintain the fairy village's barriers. While on a personal outing beyond the barrier, they encountered a monster serving the Demon King, a creature called the Shadow Knight. Rain, familiar with the creature, explains its ability to nullify magic, making it vulnerable only to physical attacks. Sora confirms this, sharing how the Shadow Knight demanded she lower the barrier. In fear, she fled, and her leader commanded her to abandon Runa. Moved by her story, Rain promises to help rescue Runa from the Shadow Knight, and Sora tearfully embraces him in gratitude. Sora shares that the Shadow Knight demanded the fairy village's barrier be lowered by sundown to free her sister, Runa. Rain's group heads to confront the Shadow Knight, leaving Sora behind to avoid breaking the monster's deal. They find the Shadow Knight holding Runa captive and start with a diversionary fireball attack, allowing Kanade and Rain to strike. The Shadow Knight tries to retaliate by attacking Runa, but Tanya rescues her and flees. Rain summons Arby's to distract the knight, and with a boosted Kanade, they finish the monster in one powerful blow. Afterward, Runa thanks Rain's team for the rescue, and she and Sora join the group on their journey. Later, Rain meets the hero's party to hand over the Shield of Truth. Shocked at Rain's quick success, Arios' group verifies its authenticity and begrudgingly rewards him. Agath and others, recognizing their inadequacy without Rain, invite him back, but he declines, happy with his current life. Frustrated, Arios vows revenge. Under a tree, Rain tells his party a legend about the hero's powers needed to defeat the Demon King. Sora suggests Rain might be the true hero, and Kanade encourages him to tame more ultimate species for strength. Rain is uncertain but appreciates his friend's support and Kanade assures him they'll always be by his side. Rain wakes up on the floor of his room and hopes for a free bed soon, as his party sleeps on the beds. While enjoying breakfast outside, they discuss buying equipment for Rain, which he agrees to. As they walk through town, Runa and Sora worry about being recognized as fairies, but Rain reassures them. The group gets approached by children, and one girl mistakenly assumes Runa and Sora are Rain's wives, irritating Sora. Runa almost reveals she's a fairy by casting magic, but is stopped. They visit a weapon shop run by the gruff dwarf Gantz, who shows them his weapons. After Rain confronts Gantz about the poor quality of his stock, Gantz reveals that he tests his customers and explains his philosophy about weapon use. Tanya connects with him over shared ideals. Gantz agrees to make Rain a custom weapon, but he lacks the materials. The group heads to the Adventurers Guild, where Rain submits a quest for mithril or from a mine once owned by Gantz's family. Instead of gold, Rain asks for a new weapon, which excites Gantz. On their way to the mine, Runa and Sora grow tired from the journey. Rain finds a lake where they take a bath, and he contracts some squirrels to keep watch. However, when Rain accidentally sees the girls naked, they scream in embarrassment. Rain apologizes, but Tanya and Kanade brush it off, joking about reversing the situation, which Rain quickly declines. At the mine, Rain suspects thieves are stealing from it. After spotting a hawk circling above, thieves emerge and confront them. Tanya and Kanade knock them unconscious, and Sora and Runa use magic to read their minds, confirming Rain's suspicions. They learn that the thieves are working with 5 other adventurers inside the mine. Afterward, Sora and Runa ask for head pats from Rain, which they enjoy, leaving Kanade and Tanya envious. Rain then suspects one of the adventurers might be a beast tamer, based on the hawk he spotted earlier. Inside the mithril mines, Rain's group faces off against the thieves, and after defeating their comrades, the remaining beast tamer and his B-rank monster, the behemoth, confront them. Despite boasting that he raised the behemoth from childhood, Rain struggles against the powerful monster, causing the mine to shake and collapse. Kanade steps in to help, capturing the beast tamer while Rain fights the behemoth. Ultimately, Rain is forced to use a fireball to defeat it. The thieves have been seeking revenge against Gantz for selling them poor-quality weapons. Gantz feels remorseful for his judgmental attitude toward his customers and vows to be more honest in the future. Moved by Rain's words, he agrees to craft a custom weapon for him, and Rain requests a new dagger and gauntlet. Meanwhile, Arios and Mina reject another beast tamer applicant, with Mina reflecting on how their inability to match Rain's skills is hindering their progress. Arios, frustrated, plans to use a cursed ring for revenge against Rain. The next day, Rain learns the fate of the thieves from Natalie and feels disheartened. Runa and Sora console him, and they take a walk together. After eating hot dogs, Runa and Sora ask if Rain has gained any new skills from their contract. He's uncertain, which worries them, but he reassures them that their companionship is what matters most. Just as they're about to get more hot dogs, a pompous man interrupts, demanding the fairies' names. He declares that he will claim them as his, drawing attention from the crowd. Runa and Sora reject the advances of a pompous noble, Edgar from Ware, the son of Horizon's lord, but he intensifies his pursuit. When Rain steps in and demands Edgar's name, Edgar responds arrogantly, ordering his soldiers to attack after Rain rejects his offer. Rain defeats the soldiers easily, but Edgar resorts to holding hostages, forcing Rain to use his fairy magic to free them with a multi-cast fireball spell. Edgar flees in shame, and the group receives praise from the citizens. However, a woman warns them to leave Horizon for their safety, as a cloaked figure watches them from afar. Later at the inn, Runa and Sora discuss Edgar's background, including his notorious actions and his father's influence. Despite investigations, the knights have found no evidence of his crimes. The group decides to take matters into their own hands and defeat Edgar to save the city. At the Fromware Manor, Edgar discusses plans with his father before paying his knight, Gelée, to deal with Rain. He also mistreats a slave servant, showing his true nature. The next day, Rain and Kanade visit the Order of Knights to file a complaint against Edgar, but it is quickly dismissed. Rain reveals the Knights are complicit with Edgar, and they are approached by Vice Captain Stella, who requests their help in bringing down Edgar. They agree to help, aiming to rid the Knights of corruption. That night, a trap is set at a warehouse with incriminating evidence against Edgar. Rain gets his new gauntlet from Gantz, and they wait for the corrupt Knights to arrive. Once inside, the entrance is sealed, and most Knights are knocked out. Stella faces off against Gillet and defeats him tearfully. Meanwhile, Edgar learns of Gillet's arrest and lashes out at his slave. The cloaked figure, revealed to be Arios, then meets with Edgar, informing him of Rain's beast tamer abilities and giving him a cursed ring, claiming it brings death to its target. A brief flashback shows Nina's life in a small temple before she was enslaved. Meanwhile, outside Edgar's mansion, Stella and her Knights confront soldiers, announcing an inspection and revealing that Gillet was arrested for corruption. When the soldiers refuse to comply, Tanya and Kanade step in, breaking through the main gate as Edgar watches from his room, hoping his new cursed ring will help him defeat Rain. Inside the mansion, Rain, Runa, and Sora sneak into the basement to rescue the hostages. Runa detects a large magical signature, suspecting an ultimate species is held there. Rain decides to have the fairies rescue the hostages while he focuses on the ultimate species. He finds Nina, a demigod, locked in a cell and healing her. Nina thanks Rain and embraces him. Another flashback reveals Nina's capture by Edgar. She explains her situation, and Rain decides to free her. Despite the difficulty of breaking the slave collar, Rain uses his beast tamer powers to break the spell and free Nina. Meanwhile, outside, Stella's group continues to battle the soldiers, joined by Runa and Sora, who report that the hostages are safe. Energized, Kanade and Tanya continue fighting. Edgar reassures his father that he will handle the situation alone. Rain, carrying Nina on his back, regroups with Stella's group. Edgar's father is captured by Rain's wire gauntlet, but Edgar appears and uses the cursed ring to summon a Reaper, which stabs his father. Arios, watching from the roof, believes Rain is dead. However, Rain survives the attack, revealing he is immune to instant death and status effect magic, a power he gained from his contract with the fairies. Edgar, watching from the banister, is overcome with despair and transforms into a demon, powered by dark energy from the ring. Rain, frightened and enraged, remembers that the monster that destroyed his village was a demon. The demon, now freed from Edgar's control, rampages through Horizon, targeting the townsfolk. Rain and his party pursue it, but Rain orders Stella and Nina to stay behind to help evacuate the citizens. Kanade confronts the demon, but is overpowered, and the demon summons reinforcements. Despite their best efforts, the demon casts a destructive spell, setting parts of the town on fire. Runa and Sora use light magic to pin the demon in place, while Rain boosts Kanade and Tanya's power. Together, they launch a series of attacks, but only manage to sever the demon's arm. The demon summons more monsters and prepares to destroy the town, so Runa and Sora teleport the townsfolk to safety. Meanwhile, Mina updates Arios on the demon's rampage, but he dismisses it, focused on the demon lord as their main priority. Leanne supports Arios' decision, unaware that Arios secretly orchestrated the demon's attack to get revenge on Rain. In Horizon, Stella and her Knights, along with Nina, defeat the demon's summoned creatures. Sora and Runa assist in evacuating the townsfolk using teleportation magic. Some citizens are hesitant to trust the fairies, but eventually they agree. Just as more monsters arrive, Stella and her Knights help evacuate the rest of the town. Back with Rain's group, Kanade and Tanya are exhausted from battling the monsters, but town adventurers assist them. Runa handles the new reinforcements while Sora teleports more citizens to safety. Nina, feeling useless, joins Rain's group and uses her demigod powers to teleport him closer to the demon. Rain, boosted and restrained by Nina's magic, confronts the demon. Though the demon's influence briefly afflicts him, Rain manages to regain control and turns the demon's monsters against it. The demon breaks free, but is ultimately defeated by its former monsters. After the battle, Nina, exhausted, is unable to keep Rain and herself afloat, and they nearly crash but are saved by Tanya. 3 days later, Horizon is being rebuilt. Stella has become the new Knight's captain, and Jalais, Edgar's father, and their accomplices are being punished for their corruption. At the inn, Rain's party welcomes Nina as an official member. Later, at the Adventurers Guild, Rain and his group learn from Natalie and Stella that the Knights have formed an alliance with the guild. Natalie also informs them that due to their recent actions in Horizon, Rain's party has been promoted to C rank. Nina is introduced to Natalie, who immediately bonds with her and affectionately cuddles her. Afterward, Rain mentions the group's housing dilemma, and Natalie suggests they purchase a house. Rain agrees, and they all go house hunting. Most of the houses don't meet everyone's needs, but the last one seems perfect. However, Natalie hesitates to show it, revealing that the house is haunted. She recounts eerie incidents that have scared away potential buyers. Despite this, Rain decides to investigate the house before making a decision. Upon entering the house, a disembodied voice demands they leave, and a ghostly maid appears. Sora and Runa cast Holy Circle to ward her off, but the ghost dodges it. They realize the ghost has no offensive powers and seems to be haunting Kanade out of fear. Kanade's terror allows her to bypass the ghost's typical immunity to physical attacks. As they chase the ghost, Sora and Runa cast Sacred Seal to trap it. Before the ghost can possess Rain, he uses his unique power as a ghost tamer, learned from a neighbor during his childhood, to subdue her. The ghost, named Tina, opens up about her tragic backstory. After listening to her, Rain decides to purchase the house. Meanwhile, the hero's party walks through the town, but is met with disdain from the townsfolk. They try to get supplies donated, but the people refuse, angry that the hero's party neglected to help during the demon's rampage. Enraged, Arios attacks a fruit seller's stall, furious that Rain is favored over him. Back at his new home, Rain enjoys a feast with Kanade. As they prepare to eat, Rain reflects on how fortunate he is to have met his party members and remembers his parents. He looks forward to what lies ahead.